Hey guys, welcome back. In the day, we're going to be checking out some more creatures that I made, aka JWA Fan Suggests 2. Now, we still have our Hadrosaur reworks here, but we also have new reworks here. Amphibian reworks, or at least every creature that uses an amphibian as a component. Now, since I don't really want to delete the Hadrosaur reworks, we're just going to be searching these by class. So these are the four non-hybrids. And first is Diplo Collis. Now, I changed something about these guys, and that's that I gave them more health. Actually, yeah, I gave them a lot more health. I lowered their speed, and I lowered their attack. Now, the thing about this one is these creatures are supposed to be bulky cunnings because we need more of those. And I decided to make this. So he doesn't really have too much health, but he also has nullifying impact. And also I upped the resistances. I gave him rend resistance and swap prevention resistance. Now both of these come from the fact that amphibians are very slippery. If you try to hold one, it just doesn't really work, and that's why swap prevention, you could just sort of slide off. With rend resistance, their skin is sort of slimy, and most rend moves showed like a bite, and it just sort of doesn't really work when you try to like bite something. And yeah, these guys have a very good niche in the meta, or at least in the early game meta. Next is Diplo Collis Gen 2 with a lot more HP, a lot less attack, and a bit slower. Now, I also gave them speed decrease resistance, since, again, trying to hold something or keep it slow doesn't really work when it's slipping and sliding everywhere in your hands. Anyway, it has Cunning Strike. I got rid of Distraction on a lot of them, since Distraction it's just a bad move. So I changed it to Cunning Strike. And he also has Nullifying Rampage. Now, all of like the big distracting moves on these guys, like Distracting Impact, have been changed to Nullifying moves. So overall, this guy is a lot bulkier than our next one. He also has Instant Distraction and Swap and Distraction. I decided to keep those since I thought they were interesting. Next is Kula Sukis Gen 2. Uh, Pretty high health, but he has a ton of damage, and I'll get to that later. He has no distraction resistance or speed decrease resistance because he's pretty fast and he does a good amount of damage with his strikes. Now, to be honest, this is probably the weakest of all the amphibians because he can't do an impact. He might be weaker than Diplo Collis Gen 2, but I don't know. He can do a decent amount of damage. He can do 3,202 turns, which is a lot. And he can also do instant distractions. So, overall, this one might be decent to use, but probably not. Next is... Oh, but I do want to say that Kula Sukis Gen 2 definitely did get buffed because it only had strikes beforehand. Anyway, Kula Sukis. Okay, I did lie about creatures all having Nullifying Rampage. Because this one has Cunning Rampage, Nullifying Strike, and Group Instant Distraction. All of these guys are going to have Nullifying moves. Now, he has the best resistances of the non-hybrids. He has 100% Distraction, which most of them have. Red Resistance, full speed decrease immunity, which is paired nicely with his 124 speed, and Swap Prevention immunity. I also decided to get rid of the awful move that was Group Distraction and replace it with a better move, not too much better, Group Instant Distraction. So that way he has like some raid value, I guess. But overall, he's also extremely bulky. He has 4,500 health, but at the cost of a lot of damage. But yeah, 4,500 health. That's the same as a T-Rex. So this thing can basically just tank for a while. Next are the Cunning Fierce Creatures, in which we have one, Diplomater, not Diplomater Gen 2, Diplomater. I think I kept the health the same. Actually, no, I think I raised the health. I lowered the damage. I'm pretty sure I lowered or increased the speed. I don't know, the speed might have been the same. Basically, only 75% distraction. That's actually more than what it had originally. As resistance, swap prevention resistance, and full vulnerability resistance, immunity from Irritator Gen 2. This thing has Cunning Strike, which I think it's used to have. Ferocious Strike, which it always has, but now it has a double impact, nullifying impact and defense shattering impact. It also has a swap in partial definite strike, not a full swap in, because a 1300 damage swap in that's almost actually no, it is unblockable, since you can't distract something that's already been swapped in. I don't know, maybe you can, but even if you can, it's still gonna do a lot of damage. So I decided to give it a move that does 0.75 attack instead of full damage. So overall, I think it got buffed because I don't know. It can go Ferocious Strike and then just spam impacts. Actually, no, it can't. It can do Ferocious Strike, Defense Shattering, and then Nullifying, and then it has to use Cunning Strike, I think. I don't know. No way, it can spam impacts. For a while at least. Next is Scaffinator, or Scaphotator. Now, I also reworked the pterosaurs on a different account, and I'm not really going to use those, but yeah, I did change Scaphnophis a little bit. First of all, I got rid of the heal and I gave it Cleansing Swoop. So basically, it can do a swap in partial definite and then just escape. But you know, if you don't want to escape, you can also do Ferocious Strike into Nullifying Impact and then maybe like a Cleansing Swoop if you can live. I increased the speed, raised the attack, and I'm decently sure I rose the HP. He also has 50% Ren resistance, which is the highest of any of these hybrids. He also has only 50%, but why did I do that since you can just do Cleansing Swoop? I don't know. He has 50% speed decrease resistance because he is very fast. So overall, I think this one's pretty good because you can just do a ton of damage and then get out. Next, you have Diplo Venator, who is a very interesting one indeed. I lowered the health, upped the damage. I think I kept the speed the same. I think I might have. Yeah, no, I upped it by like 5 points. It has Ren resistance, speed decrease, immunity, distraction immunity, and swap prevention immunity, which all come from Diplo Collis Gen 2. Concavenator doesn't have any resistances, unfortunately. It has swap and distraction. I also gave it a precise shattering counter to reference Concavenator's resilient strike. I also gave it definite strike again to reference that move. I think it always had that move. Yeah, it did. Um, Instant distraction, which it got from Diplo Collis, nullifying impact, and cunning rampage. So basically, it can go for cunning rampage and like a definite strike, and then yeah, it can basically just do a lot of damage and a decent amount of turns. Next we have one of the uniques of this, which is Antarcto Venator, who has lowered health, raised armor, raised no, the damage is the same, and the speed also got buffed by like 2 points. So this one got changed a lot. First of all, definite impact, definite strike. I meant so. Its basic attack, I think, got better. It also has Revenge Instant Frenzy. Now, when I play Antven, or at least when I used to, I got rid of him because he sucks now. He didn't really do too much. I never really used Revenge Instant Ferocity because it was just such a bad move. Instead, I just went for Defense Shattering Impact. But now that it can raise its speed with Revenge Instant Frenzy, it can definitely get a lot faster and then just go for a Cunning Rampage and be fast. It also has a medium resilient counterattack and has Swap and Cripple to reference more nullifying. It also has some pretty good resistances. It has full vulnerability immunity, swap prevention immunity, and yeah, it doesn't have full speed decrease immunity because, you know, it can speed up like a lot. But still, the definite strike, since it has full distraction immunity, is still unblockable, which is nice to have. I also removed the stun resistance immunity. I don't know why I had that. So overall, this one is pretty good. You can go for Revenge Instant Ferocity, then Cunning Rampage, or maybe even Nullifying Impact, depending on the specific situation. Overall, it is very versatile. It can do basically everything because of its wild card class. Anyway, on to the next creature, which are the Skula hybrids, or the Kula Sukis hybrids. First of all, we have Kula, who has lowered HP, actually a lot lower. Has, I'm pretty sure, like the same damage, and I'm pretty sure he's faster. Basically, instead of swapping distraction, I give it swapping invincibility. It has instant invincibility taunt instead of instant invincibility. Since instant invincibility taunt, it's just better in every way. It has rend resistance, speed decrease, swap prevention. I think it's basically the same thing that Kula Sukis had, except with speed decrease resistance. It has nullifying strike, resilient impact, and cutting rampage. So it can basically just do a ton of damage on you, and then go invincible as well if it needs to. So overall, this one is very versatile, especially with the nullifying. Next is Schoolosaurus. Now this one I tried to make better, but at the same time I didn't really succeed. Because I didn't want to ruin those Gorgo Trebax raiders who used Skoola at like level 20. This one was hard to rework. So I rose the actually no, the HP was always the same. I think I raised the damage, I lowered the speed. Oh, 26% armor. That's supposed to be 25%. Ignore that. Yeah, shield, taunting strike, tip the scales, group instant distraction, and cunning rampage. I wanted it to have like a move that was like uh tip the scales, except it did impact and had no priority, but that ruined its raid value. So I decided to give it exposing counter instead, which is Andrew Todon's signature move. So overall, this one is pretty good. It also has the immunities that Kula had. It doesn't have rend immunity. It doesn't have rend resistance, but it has everything else that Kula had, I think. Anyway, next is Scoon. Now this one got changed a lot, like a lot. First of all, HP got lowered, attack got lowered, speed got buffed, HP, armor, crit rate, or the armor and crit rate remain the same. Also, I made a Sornosaurus rework on a different account that had 10% armor and like 20% crit, so that these stats would make sense, and now they do. So shield, taunting strike, the move that I talked about earlier, which is tipping impact, group instant distraction, so it actually has raid value, and then group devastation. So basically, what it can do is, if you survive 2 turns, which due to this thing's insane bulk and distraction capability, which isn't really that hard, and go for a group devastation, and then do 3 times damage to everyone, which is 3,300 damage to literally everyone. Also has amazing resistances, stun immunity, taunt immunity as well. It has everything that Kula had, and more. Skoola had. And then finally is a short one, and that is Gemini Titan. Now, Gemini Titan, this one basically remained completely the same since I didn't want to ruin its value. So really all I did is I lowered the HP by 200 points and replaced Resilient Strike with Nullifying Strike. And to be honest, this is probably a nerf. But it still goes through dodge. It now goes through shields, not armor, but shields. But I did have to sacrifice the HP. But overall, everything else remained the same. Even though I wanted to implement more features, I tried implementing a nullifying counter. That really didn't work. That made it insanely strong. But yeah, instead it gave it nullifying strike, lowered the HP. So overall, I think these reworks were pretty good. They changed basically everything about the amphibians, because what the amphibians used to be is they used to be not really that fast for cunnings, not really that bulky, and now I made them very bulky. Except for the ones that I lowered the HP on. I gave them new and fresh nullifying moves, which only Diplo Collis had, and the others didn't, which I didn't make sense. I wanted them to be more interesting than other cunnings, given their bulk, their lowered speed, and their nullifying, and their rend resistance, which is very, very interesting. So basically, these guys got changed a lot. Although, granted, I think there were some that could have been better off of these, and those were Kula Sukis Gen 2, Scaffitator, But overall, I think I did a pretty good job reworking these amphibian creatures. More news, though, about my channel and stuff. I now have a Discord server. Yes, I have a Discord server. It will be linked in the description below if you want to join. But anyway, Typhoon Zack out.